Mm, mm, mm. Good morning. Good morning. So this is my first, well, this is my live stream in a while. I haven't live streamed in a minute. I feel like just playing music because I'm in that mood right now. I'm saying I am in that mood. Even though I know on YouTube I'm gonna get copyrighted, but I'm just feeling like I don't know. I'm just on that type of vibe right now. So that being said, I just might, cause that's how I'm feeling. You know, you feeling how you living, you get it how you get it. Um, on Instagram for the first time, streaming. So this is new. So I'm gonna play some music, see who come in before I get started, cause I'm just in that mood. We'll just edit this part out due to copyright, unfortunately.
Shit, man. Gas station.
I'm just in that mood. Today we gonna talk about AI. You know, the job market.
Man, shit. I see she left out the store though. I caught her with her. She
Oh
pumping
my
gas. You know what I'm saying? Look,
ice.
she pumping gas.
Okay, cool.
Right over
Like,
using
damn,
some
I'm
stuff
a
like
man.
that.
Yeah.
So it's
You
gonna
know
be a
what I'm
good show. It's gonna be a
saying?
good
I'm a
show.
man.
I'm gonna let some more people come in, hopefully. If not, you know I'm gonna do my thing regardless. What we do over here. So when that music vibe, we're gonna let that some new song that came across that I'm digging. Well, good morning, good morning, good morning. My folks. Y'all are rocking with me. Sure, this is what y'all with my just a bit. Make sure I got this right. For Instagram. I think I got it right. I got it.
This what happens when you're young with an old soul.
All right, family. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Give this video a big thumbs up. We got a lot to get into. I want to talk about layoffs first. Let me put the banner down below. So, we're going to talk about federal layoffs, AI adaptation, and CEO warnings. We got a couple CEOs in the building, basically telling it how it is, telling it what it is. And I want to make sure you guys make the right adjustments when it comes to marketing yourself, getting to that bag with all the opportunities that you can get to feed your family, put food on the table, take care of bills, because we all got to make a living, right? We all got to do what we got to do. We out here surviving, but we want to be thriving at the same time. So, to thrive, you got to set yourself up for that type of success, right? So, that being said, um, you have to know the right adjustments to make to be able to do that in the first place. So, let me see something real quick, family. Let me see something with Instagram. All right. So, let's get into it. As you guys see on the screen right here, because we gotta stop playing games and we gotta talk real. And what we're seeing right now is just a wave of job cuts. Isn't just a wave of job cuts, I should say. It's an economic transformation. And they're not just laying people off, they're reconstructing entire industries under the disguise of AI, automation, and market adaptation, they like to call it, right? So you got federal workers, consultants, tech employees, all getting wiped out, not because of incompetence, but because the system is shifting and not nobody told you in plain English what's going on. So at Centura, as you guys may see on the screen in a second, I'm going to show you guys as I share my screen. Um, at Centura, right? This company is basically a firm that basically gives consultations to companies to be able to adapt, advancing technology to help with their everyday operations. And with that being said, Accenture lays off 11,000 staff as part of AI reskilling strategy. So I want to let that sink in because people couldn't reskill fast enough, and this is their words. So 100,000 federal workers quit in one day, then 750,000 got furloughed. And these aren't conspiracy numbers. This is real because the government shutdown, which we're about to get to in a minute, and behind closed doors, they're talking about permanent layoffs, not furloughs, right? And as you know, and if you don't know, furloughs, you're always open to the possibility of being let go, even though at the time you are temporarily relieved of your work in hopes that you return back to work, right? And that's the whole scare with this government shutdown. You have companies like at Centura that's laying off, thousands of people, unfortunately. And you don't have to be the individual that actually worries or panic or being frantic because this is just part of the job market. You eat what you kill. It's a eat what you kill situation when it comes to um setting yourself up to be able to be viable, because if you're viable in a company, you can always they'll pay you buku money, right? As long as you're viable, any company will pay you what you want, quite frankly, if you negotiate correctly and let alone you're effective and you can show and prove the value that you bring to a company, right? It's the same thing, for example, just breaking it down from a real life perspective, that you wouldn't want to be with somebody who doesn't add value into the relationship, who doesn't add value into your life, right? Because at the end of the day, somebody can be a nuisance, and in the same time, somebody that's a nuisance is just robbing from you from your peace, and they're not really adding no value, but just chaos in your life. Or is this individual actually um, adding value and challenge you and being a better person? That can be spiritually, mentally, and even challenging you to up your skill set just by being able to learn different skills, being productive on your off time, instead of watching and couch surfing and being a couch potato, you actually continue to evolve with the markets, because you either get ahead so you don't have to you be prepared so you don't have to get prepared, or you get left behind and then you get let go in the job market. So it's already a shift, family. AI is here. There's no point of fighting it. And it doesn't have to be negative when it comes to AI. A lot of people think, oh, AI is taking my job. Actually, AI is making things more efficient, and efficient as in making so companies and jobs have less mistakes. And if they can get rid of a nagging employee that continues to make mistakes and complain and not get better, and AI doesn't talk back and be combative, and then of course they're going to replace that individual with AI, right? The same way I'm sure you won't want a combative woman to be with, or a combative man, right? That's constantly going against, contrary to what you guys are supposed to be doing to move in the right direction. Well, it's the same way these companies look at it, because they are trying to make a profit. They are trying to thrive. They are trying to be lucrative and do the very thing that's successful to keep the company to be successful, which is the reason why they hired you in the first place, right? Because they are successful and they upscaled enough to be able to add more employees and come across hiring you during the hiring process. So now that we got that out the way, um, with that, I find it more interesting, not only about the government shutdown and behind closed doors, they're talking about permanent layoffs, not furloughs. These folks are not coming back. Meanwhile, companies like Google are cutting workers by the hundreds, while 18-year-olds raised $6 million with zero employees. Now, this is a high school dropout, as you guys see on the screen. He's a founder of a tech company, and he took risks. He dropped out of high school. He didn't go to college, obviously, because he didn't finish high school. And he raised 6.2 million for his AI coding agent startup. Now, when you are in the tech world, right? And I have learned this. That's why I'm breaking it down and we having a conversation. There's this such thing as startup companies, and you may have investors that are interested in your company. And in this case, his company was named Nozemio, and basically he created a AI coding educational company where he teach individuals how to code using artificial intelligence to teach individuals how to code through his company, as you guys see highlighted on the screen right here. So this 18-year-old, you know, doesn't have employees. He created the app, and also in his company, he teaches you not only how to code, but he teaches you through his company not only to give you the education to code, but also give you the education to create your own app as you learn coding. And that's basically what his firm is in regards of helping individuals have coding education, but be able to start up apps where they can make buku amount of money. I mean, look at him. He raised 6.2 million in funding, and my man didn't even go to college, didn't even graduate from high school. So I don't say to drop, I don't say all that to drop out of high school. Get your high school education, get your college education. It's important basically to give you the foundational skills, most definitely. But what I am getting at is, while we're trying to figure out whether TikTok is stealing your data, OpenAI drops new tools instantly, slashing billions from companies like Adobe, Salesforce, and HubSpot. Right? And entire business models are being made obsolete with one product launch. And that's what getting open AI means, right? Because now you can limit the amount of people, and you can lower the cost to have to hire all these people when you got artificial intelligence, aka AI, to do it, which then can set up your business model plan to actually be lucrative and thrive. And you can cut out all these individuals that you need to pay out and save more money to put money in other places so the company can be lucrative, right? I mean, if you could save money on groceries to feed yourself and get more groceries, then why wouldn't you do it? So why you think these companies wouldn't do the same thing, right? Just common sense. So think about that though. You work 10 years. Let's say you work 10 years to build a company, and some startup with 5 people and a fine-tuned chat GBT wipes out, or GBT wipes out your business overnight, and everybody's acting like this is normal. Now, here's where it gets deeper because I want you guys to see from the three CEOs that I'm about to talk about in completely different industries, such as LinkedIn, where you usually set up your LinkedIn like your resume, and it's a way to network and find jobs. NVIDIA, if you guys don't know what NVIDIA is, NVIDIA has become popular and basically a very wealthy company based off um, their GBT benefits. I mean, GBU benefits. And that's basically a graphic processing unit. The graphic processing unit is basically an AI chip. It's a chip. So their graphic processing unit is basically them. The company NVIDIA originally started with making games more realistic, right? So people that game on gaming computers or monitors, or that are gamers and content creators, basically they leveled up by creating a system where the game looks more realistic. The games look very, very popping out to the screen, and they were able to make the graphics like never before. And now they have moved into also an AI chip where basically they are being innovative to the point where they create a fast artificial intelligence that then goes hand in hand with their graphics of individuals and how they were able to, you know, be lucrative when it came to the gaming business. So not only are now they going into the gaming business, now they're investing in the AI business where they're making chips that can operate at fast. When you, let's say for example, you put a prompt in or you type into Chat GBT, do you think Chat GBT is able to respond so quickly? Because of the chip. The AI chip. The AI chip, that this chip basically controls and basically gives the functions to be able to function properly for ChatGPT to operate, for Alexa to operate, for Siri AI to operate. Now being part of Apple devices as they put artificial intelligence into Apple now. So these things are being incorporated, but the chip makes the processing go faster. So then whatever you put in, the output can be just as fast as you type in there whatever you request, right? Just to give you some game about the whole situation. So that's NVIDIA in a nutshell. And then you have Ford. We all know Ford is known for, their cars, their just being able to be known as a car manufacturing business. That's what Ford is basically dominant in, as we all know. So with that being said, for you guys to know that, and on that note, just to put it in perspective, and all of them are screaming the same message loud and clear. And they didn't call a meeting with each other or coordinate with each other. They all just happen to say the same thing within 48 hours from each other. And that alone should wake people up. So now I want to get to what LinkedIn CEO is saying, because the future of work, like it says in the title, won't belong to people with degrees anymore. See, you can remember on paper to pass a test, but can you really apply real life examples? And can you really apply real life educational skills to a real life scenario, such as working for a company and being able to do it efficiently with less mistakes? So now degrees, they still are, you still should get your degree just to check off that checkbox, but it's not necessarily needed. But I still advocate to get your degree because it will put you ahead of others in the ball field, right? It will set you apart. And that's what the beauty of um that's what the beauty of where I was getting at. That's what beauty of having a degree. But it doesn't necessarily mean that's going to get you through the door. So you have LinkedIn CEO is saying the future work won't belong to people with degrees anymore. And he goes on to say college degrees aren't relevant now. And if you can't adapt, he said the futures belong to people who are AI literate, adaptable, empathetic, and forward thinking. So if they're hiring based on you just having a grit to learn and want to be able to learn and want to continue to evolve as AI, artificial intelligence, and technology is moving at the speed of light, and you always not waiting to be ahead of the ball game, but you're already looking forward to being ahead of the ball game and not having to get prepared because you're already prepared, that forward thinking will pay off for you now to be able to be more lucrative in the job market and not necessarily be looked at because you have a piece of paper such as a degree. So I think that tells a lot, right? When you really look at this, it tells a lot in regards to the matter. And that was LinkedIn, the CEO of LinkedIn. And then they ran a study and they found that 71% of hiring managers will take the person with AI skills over someone with 10 to 15 years of experience every single time. And then we got the CEO of NVIDIA, right? Jensen. And he says electricians and plumbers will be needed by the hundreds of thousands in the new working world. And the trades, man, a lot of people, I look at it now what this job market is, you have to specialize in something and be very effective and very efficient and valuable in it, or you have to have a skill such as trades, right? I mean, AI hasn't replaced trades as of right now, and as we know for it to be currently. I'm not going to say never, but I'm going to say right now, I do believe AI will work hand in hand with the trades, what machinery and things like that, robotic machinery. You already can start. I have seen some machinery in construction fields now, such as when they lay out, they strip the pavement and then they repavement, and then they have like this little remote controller that flattens out and smooths out the surface of the new pavement that they're laying down. So I have been seeing that, but I find this interesting, and I say, and you guys could take more of a deep dive into it in this article that's on the screen that I'm sharing with you guys. But the CEO of NVIDIA, the $3 trillion company powering all the AI chips, he's not just talking about coders and software engineers. He said, and I quote, "We don't just need engineers. We need hundreds of thousands of tradespeople, electricians, HVAC technicians, plumbers, carpenters, urgently." Why? Because AI doesn't exist in a cloud, it lives in the ground. So every single AI data center, for example, we got an AI data center being built in Texas. As we know that Donald Trump is basically bringing investments back to America, being pro-America and American first, and actually setting America up with the economy. You have to realize that things don't happen overnight. And I know a lot of people saying, "Oh, cost of living is expensive. Oh, Donald Trump supposed to bring the cost down." You got to realize the guy only been in office, what, like for like 8 months? So the things that he's setting in place, we're not going to see the results right now, but in the long term, because you got to always think 10 years ahead, 10 years ahead, long-term standpoints, long-term perspectives. What is the long-term benefits? Because nothing happens overnight, but also a gradual growth going up consistently is better than ever. See, little growth is better than no growth. And a lot of people get emotional when they're looking at the economy, but you have to realize that a lot of things had to be fixed before within reconstruction, but to be set up to be the best for Americans so we actually can thrive as a country. Just common sense, right? We just having a conversation. Let me know what you guys think so far in the comments. And I appreciate 3 people that's watching. I appreciate you for rocking with me. I give this video a big thumbs up. But the AI data centers, right? These are giant warehouses that run ChatGPT, Siri, Alexa, your apps, your smart home tech. And every one of these needs to be wired, cooled, secured, ventilated, and maintained by human hands. You think ChatGPT is magic? Nah. You may think so because how fast it computes and whatever you put into request and prompt and the output of it, but it's sitting at a $1 billion building with 10,000 GPUs, which is graphic processing units, stacked on racks that run hotter than a car engine, right? You think of IT and you know how you always think of those softwares or those like hard drives and all these cords on top of each other. Well, think of it like that with GPUs. You can't build that with a coding boot camp. You need electricians to power it. You need HVAC techs to cool it. You need plumbers to manage water systems. You need fireproofers, security installers, steel workers. You can't AI your way into a power grid, and you still need humans with skills that to lay that infrastructure down, basically, right? And those roles are paying $100,000 plus starting salary. No degree needed, zero debt. For those who don't believe in, you know, going to college, or those who aren't fond of college, college isn't for everyone, right? Some people, the sentiment of the people are saying they're basically known more as indoctrination camps. But That's a different conversation to have. But trades are now in the new Ivy League. They used to tell you go to college or you'll dig ditches for a living. Nah, now the ditch digger owns the company. The pipe fitter makes six figures. The welder is retiring with land. Meanwhile, the communication major is still paying off student loans, fighting for a $50,000 job that's already being automated. Ironic, right? Crazy how things turn. Life be lifing, right? So let me tell you something else, right? And they can't offshore this. You can't outsource a building being wired in Atlanta to someone sitting in Pakistan. You can't install fiber from overseas. This has to happen on site right here in America. That's job security. That's recession proof. That's relevance in the AI age. Now, I want to get to Ford CEO, right? This guy. I found this very interesting. Just having a conversation. Um, I would have never thought that a CEO would have their child be a mechanic. I find that interesting. So, Jim Farley, his own son dropped out of college to become a mechanic. And he bragged about it. And he said the trades are the smartest move you can make right now. Because guess what? Electric vehicles need technicians. Self-driving cars need recalibrating, right? And one second, family. Let me know what you guys think so far. You rocking with me. I appreciate you guys for rocking with me this far. One second, because I'm trying to figure out why my Instagram and we live uncut. We tell it how it is over here, but I'm trying to figure out my Instagram live situation. I'm trying a new thing here with the streaming software, and I don't see what's going on, unfortunately. Server URL. A second. Mm. Let me see something real quick. Let me see. I don't know why that stream is not up on Instagram. Find this out. One second, family. Gotta find something real quick. I don't know what is going on with that. Interesting. Okay, we're just gonna leave it how it is because I don't know what is going on with that one. Right, this. Yeah, I don't know, but anyway, let's get back to the show. Sorry about that, family. I was trying to figure something out. I was trying to figure out this streaming situation. I'm trying to stream on multiple platforms, and it's something new for me. I have never done before. I'm doing a lot of things that I haven't done before, which is, you know, you try something new, you see if it works, you involve. That's just part of it. But I'll figure this out offline because I don't want to derail the show. Um, yeah, so we'll figure that out. I don't know what's up with that. But anyway, let's get back to this. So I found this interesting because self-driving cars need recalibrating. Tesla is hiring thousands of auto techs, not just coders. The infrastructure bill is funding over trillions of dollars into roads, bridges, charging stations, all built by trades. AI can optimize the plan, but someone still has to pour the concrete. Someone still has to run the wire and someone has to install the server. So if you connect the dots, you don't need a master's degree, you need mastery. You don't need connections, you need competency. Don't forget, at the end of the day, you can think you know something until it's time to be put to the test to actually show that you actually know something. It's two different things, right? So when you look at these things and you look at the Ford CEO saying his son is mechanic and things like that, what I would say is the new game is to adapt, right? This is the new model. AI fluency, side income, trades, not theory. It's execution because the old game is dead. The new game is to adapt or get replaced. And right now, the people who have been overlooked, the blue collar backbone of this country, and they are the ones walking into six figures while degree chasers are walking to an AI pink slips. All right. So ask yourself, are you positioned? Are you praying for stability in a world that already moved on? We just having a conversation, right? I think it's a good conversation to have in regards to that matter. Now, I want to get to the government shutdown, right? I want to get to the government shutdown. I know it's been a lot of things going on with that when in regards of the government shutdown. And it has been a lot of people, worried and, up in arms and, you know, basically having everybody in an uproar. So I'm not going to sugarcoat it because the government shutdown is not just political theater. It's not just about some budget debate in Congress or a few missed paychecks. That's the distraction. But what we're really seeing is the federal government being weaponized like a tool. And the tool is being aimed directly at the American people, especially the working class folks who still believe they're part of some stable system. Because the truth is, this isn't just a shutdown. This is a controlled demolition of the public sector. And they're not being honest about it. So in the past, a shutdown was temporary. You get a little media drama, a few furloughs, and eventually things will bounce back. But this time, this one is different. This one is about removing people permanently. And you heard the White House, they said it out loud, permanent layoffs. It's not a pause, it's not a furlough. That's pack your stuff. We're eliminating your role entirely, and you're not coming back. But here's where it gets even darker. While they're still cutting hundreds of thousands of jobs, they got another 700,000 federal workers who were labeled essential still working, but not getting paid, and people are clapping up like it's some badge of honor, right? Let's just call it what it is. It's modern indentured labor. Modern indentured labor. Straight up. So let me break this down for you, for anybody who doesn't get what I'm saying. Indentured servitude used to mean working for years with no pay under the promise that that someday you'll be rewarded. It was supposed to be abolished, right? But right now, that's exactly what's happening to the federal workers. The folks are being told, you are essential to this country. Well, we're not going to pay you right now. Just keep showing up and maybe you'll get your money later. Now, how is that not abuse or slap in the face? It's not public service, that's public exploitation. And while this is happening, while hundreds of thousands are either fired or working up unpaid hours, politicians are still getting paid. Now, I believe when it comes to people that's in the Senate, I believe they need term limits just like the president. I do not believe that they should be in office until they old to the point where they're not even capable anymore to continue their job, but they keep on willing their way through just because they so used to the lifestyle, let alone the benefits and getting the paycheck. But it's not fair to the American people because at the end of the day, if you're not able to do the job, and you're just holding on and you're not able to operate at an efficient, effective way on working on behalf of the American people, then you should leave. But politicians still get paid. As soon as they get their foot in the door, they good to go. But let that sink in, because the same people who caused the shutdown are still collecting checks, still sitting on six-figure salaries, and still getting health care, still flying private, and still making moves while average workers are being told to hang tight, right? And the worst part, these people, the ones in power, are using this shutdown as a political pawn in a bigger game of blame. And the sad thing is, most people fall for it. Democrats blame Republicans, Republicans blame Democrats, and regular people, the ones who actually show up to work, pay their taxes, keep the system running, and they get caught in the middle. And here's the game. They don't want to solve the problem. They want to use the problem. Because in Washington, crisis is currency. Chaos is power. The longer things stay broken, the more money they raise, the more voters they rally, and the more they can point fingers instead of solving anything. And who's stuck picking up the pieces? Not them, you. But let's check it out.
It is day 3 of the government shutdown. Today, senators are expected to vote to reopen the government, but the vote is not expected to pass.
And Danita, meanwhile, President Trump met with a White House executive to discuss which programs should be cut during the shutdown. NBC's Bianca Ficini has more from Washington.
The government shutdown has families across the country bracing for the worst.
We're kind of getting used to uncertainty.
And as federal workers wait for updates, they're feeling frustrated.
What we really want to do is to be at work. We're feeling angry at being treated as political pawns.
It's unclear if Democrats and Republicans have made any progress in negotiations. The Senate is scheduled to vote again today, but the measures aren't expected to pass. In the meantime, the Trump administration is planning on layoffs.
Look, it's likely going to be in the thousands.
President Trump met with Budget Director Russ Vought on Thursday. In a post online, he said the two would discuss which Democrat agencies Vought recommended be cut. Democrats say the president is using the shutdown to target them.
The American people are crystal clear on who shut down the government. Crystal clear. They know it was Donald Trump and Republicans for a wide variety of reasons.
The government shutdown.
Meanwhile, Republican Senate Leader John Thune says negotiations over health care, the sticking point for Democrats, can start only once the government opens up again.
I don't think you can keep this hostage. As soon as they release the hostage, then we can talk about those other issues.
Neither side showing signs of backing down, with no breakthrough in sight. So far, hundreds of thousands of workers have been furloughed, which means they will not see any pay until the government reopens. In Washington, Bianca Ficini, NBC News.
Well, there you have it, folks. There you have it.
President Trump.
That's the government shutdown in itself. And now, as I continue to talk about it, because we're having a conversation, you got entire federal departments on hold. Projects frozen, benefits delayed, veterans waiting, IRS workers showing up unpaid. Do I believe that this shutdown is going to be long? No, I don't believe it's going to be long. You got air traffic controllers going to work without paychecks while politicians talk about their principles. From my understanding, the Republicans said, let's keep it the way it is. The Democrats said no, because we want to give and help for illegals. We want to help illegal immigrants. So we're going to shut down the government, not prioritize the American people, but actually prioritize individuals who aren't supposed to be here out of disrespect, I should say, to the Americans, and disrespect to the country, because Americans can't go to another country and go into the country illegally. So I don't know why is this so acceptable in America. Because you have to look at the hidden agenda. It's money. It's revenue. It's to rally votes to stay in power. Right? It's a political thing. It's a political game. I am here just to have a conversation and look through the political theater. And we wake up to the reality of becoming more aware of who we elect, lobbying in our best interest for the American people, because I am pro-American. And just like any other country will be for their country, and do the right thing out of respect for their country, just like if we had went to China right now, we have to respect their country and do things the right way. I don't know why that's so hard to understand. Democrats obviously care about more of staying in power and don't care about the American people. That's why we're at this government shutdown. We're at when Republicans say, look, we should just stay where we're at. We just keep funding the way we're funding with the budget, these programs and things like that, but they didn't want that. And I believe it fell into Donald Trump trap. Let me know what you guys think about this. I believe the Democrats fell into Donald Trump trap by wanting to shut down the government because they want to fund illegal immigrants that are not supposed to be in America. They are illegal. You know what I'm saying? But they fell into Donald Trump trap because if you really think about it, now he's able to reconstructure and whatever is deemed possible with his power, certain things he deem essential, let alone also reconstructure the hiring and the employees that are furloughed right now because the government shut down. He's able to get rid of the bloat and reconstructure the government even more because it's shut down and look at really all things because things are at a standstill right now. Instead of just being grateful and just say, look, we're going to come to a bipartisan agreement. We shouldn't shut down the government. It impacts the American people who pay us taxpayer dollars and just keep it the way it is, like the Republicans said. But no, they want to be greedy and they want to worry about control. And now we're in this situation. So look, let's go deeper because this isn't just about paychecks or benefits. Like I said, it's about control. This is about reshaping the entire structure of what government does and who it serves. Because here's the real plan that nobody wants to say out loud. They are downsizing the federal workforce to create room for AI, automation, and private contractors to take over core services. And this is why I say they fell into Donald Trump's trap because we all know and Republicans, I don't know why people make it so difficult. Republicans believe in, lesser government, being able to control your life, not giving out all this money, unnecessary money, taxpayer money, and all this bloat and gloat, spending all this money unnecessary that's not actually benefiting the American people. As in Democrats, as I was told before by someone that said, "Oh, vote Democrat because they're the ones that get more money." Yeah, they get more money, but they cause higher cost of living, higher taxes. The more money being printed, the more money being given, the more the cost of living will go up. So the same way as us Americans are conservative with our money, we're not just going to give our money out to people with no reason or intent or no real purpose or no reason why we do what we want to do. Especially if you worked hard for your money. Oh yeah, you're not just going to give it out. So what's wrong with having a government that's more intentional and more smart on the behalf of American people instead of just giving it out ignorantly? It's going to cost you, right? If you keep dispersing monies you don't have, eventually it catches up to you. Well, that's how Democrats are in a way that I was told from someone that I care about that, hey, vote Democrat because they get more money. But anyway, all this budget talk is a cover up for total restructuring of the country. And they're not doing it fairly because they're not retraining these workers that are furloughed due to the government shutdown. They're not helping them transition. They're just cutting people loose, putting them out of 20, 30-year careers and saying, good luck out there, competing just like everybody else in the private sector. But here's the kicker. The moment you lose your job, they'll turn around and sell the same position to a consulting firm or give it to a tech company and tell the public it's more efficient. But all they did was remove a taxpayer paid worker and replace them with a corporate contractor that charges double. It's the truth. And here's the next play. Outsourcing more power to AI. It's already happening. The government is adopting AI tools to automate case management, benefits processing, hiring, customer service, even internal audits. What used to take 50 federal employees can now be done with one chat GBT system or GBT system in a $3 million OpenAI contract. Sounds efficient, right? But where's the efficiency going? Not into your pocket, not into raises, not into schools. It's going to corporate middlemen who profit off the collapse of the public system. And this isn't innovation, this is displacement. Now, let's be real. I'm not saying government workers are perfect. I'm not saying every role is sacred. But I am saying that you don't fix a broken system by breaking the people holding it up. And right now, the shutdown is being used to not solve anything, but to gut the system from inside and train you to accept it. And they're normalizing chaos, normalizing unpaid labor, and normalizing survival mode. But here's what's terrifying: the American people are too distracted to notice, and we're watching TikTok beefs, influencer drama, political soap operas, while the very structure of how the country works is being rewritten. In the background, while you're being told this is just about the budget, entire agencies are being stripped, AI contracts are being signed, and essential workers are being used like pawns, unpaid, unprotected, and unappreciated. Right? Respectfully, luckily, we have a president who's able to be straightforward and say, look, we're just going to, you can take a severance, but, we can pay you, whatever the case may be, and not straddle you along in this false hope of a furlough, respectfully. But I hate to say it, but we let this happen because we brought into the illusion that government was supposed to take care of us. We believe that if we played by the rules, stay loyal, clock in every day, our reward would come. And now we're finding out that loyalty to a system, to a job that's not loyal back is just self-destruction with a pension. At the end of the day, I think this opens up more of a bigger conversation that a company isn't loyal to you, they're loyal to the company. So you should always be evolving and being innovative and upping your skills to be viable to company. If you're not viable to a company, then what are they paying you for? When you have all this artificial intelligence laying around. So here's the wake up call. If you work for the government, you need to stop thinking like an employee and start thinking like a free agent, because for a long period of times, these government workers felt like, oh, once we get in the door, we get a fat paycheck, we live comfortable, we got a cushy tushy position, we got benefits, we can just lay back and relax, right? Those days are over. The government operates like the private sector now. And I'm for it because they'll keep you on your toes to be efficient, effective for the American people that are paying you with our tax dollars, right? So your knowledge, your experience, your network, that's value. You can package that. You can even freelance that on the side. I do advocate for having a side hustle. You should never put all your eggs in one basket with one stream of income. I mean, haven't we learned that during the pandemic? I have. Just like anybody else. I was ride sharing, I was Uber Eating, I was hustling just like everybody else. I'm normal just like everyone else. But it did open my eyes to realize that nothing is promised. And you should always be innovative and you should always be prepared so you don't got to get prepared, whether that's learning a new skill, educating yourself on something, educating yourself on the job markets to be able to be more lucrative, to continue to feed your family and be viable to your community, let alone corporations that see value in you as you see value in them, but they're not loyal to you. You should be loyal to yourself in regards of being viable. A productive citizen, that is part of being a productive citizen, I think, right? I hope people look at it that way. But you can, when you do have your expertise, you can, do a YouTube like I'm doing. You may not want to talk but you can do freelance work. You can consult, because you have a skill. You can build on the side. I do advocate for side hustle. But if you're still sitting around, like I said, waiting for the shutdown to end so you can go back to normal, which is, I'm pretty sure most of these government workers are waiting for. I don't know why. I got news for you that the normal is dead. There's no going back. There's only moving forward. And either you move with intention or you get moved out with silence. So ask yourself, why they argue over budgets and spin political blame games, what are you doing to make sure you're not the next casualty in their performance? Building your own opportunity. Some people are still being begging to be seen by the system that's already erased your name from the list. Like a lot of these government workers, they are so used to being comfortable and propped up, and half of them haven't been in office and actually been working on behalf of the American people. Just wait to retire 20, 30 years in and just staying comfortable. Those days are over. This is no longer a game of get my foot in the door and then I'm good. No, you have to continue to show results. And that's why what happens in the private sector, when you continue to show results, then, okay, you're valuable to the company, we keep you. So I wanted to say that about this government shutdown and actually get to the idea of it so individuals can reposition themselves and individuals can actually take heed to the job market and not get pulled into the nonsense because you can control only what you can control, right? So yes, it's unfortunate that these government workers during the government shutdown, Trump is reconstructing, getting rid of the bloat, which means extra jobs that's paying monies that we don't need extra jobs to pay monies for when we can use AI and get things done more efficiently without pumping out more money or giving more money out but saving more money to operate and thrive as a country and put it in other places so it benefits the Americans, the economy, and so forth. Um, you should watch by example, right? You should look at the mistakes of those so you do not make the same. I do that. I wholeheartedly believe in doing that because there's people that made mistakes before you. Even in the private sector, you should know not to get comfortable, keep upping your skills, keep making yourself viable. And yes, they will pay you buku money and you will be able to show you worth your salt, because the world is your oyster. But it's only your oyster if you're willing to put in the work, you know? And I feel like now that's the reality of these government workers. So the government shutdown is not necessarily is a bad thing because people are getting lost their job. I don't advocate for no one to lose their job to put food on the table and pay their bills, but also for the ones that were comfortable, I believe it's a wake up call, just like a regular everyday American Joe. Hey, you have to compete and you have to work for the American people and take this job serious and stop getting comfortable sitting on your behind. So that's my take on that. Now I want to
Met with
move
a
on
White House executive
to the next segment of the show, which was wild to me, which was this illegal immigrant that was a superintendent at the biggest school system in Iowa, right? I find this mind blowing, right? And now the school board in Iowa is turning on this man. But I wanted to show you guys the first video of how before the evidence even came out that he was illegal, before they came to find out that he faked his degrees, just scammed. I think he's the biggest scammer than the scammer in Nigeria. I'm just being honest here. I think he outdid the scammer in Nigeria. I'm just being honest. So this man, I want to show you guys a clip before the evidence even came out. The school board was defending him, saying to be empathetic. Check this out, and then we'll get more into it.
Wow. Okay, so here's the school board chair in Des Moines. All right, she's calling for what's called radical empathy in his case. Watch.
Right, yeah.
It seems fitting to take a page out of Dr. Roberts' book and ask the community to engage in radical empathy as we work through this situation together. Radical empathy is the recognition that we can disagree and still empathize with each other. The respect of others' humanity. This concept will be essential as we wait to learn more.
He was given an order to deport in 2024, May of that year. What do you think of this call just to wave the white flag and call this off?
When she said radical empathy to open her press conference on Friday, where she didn't take any questions, my jaw dropped because right now what we need is radical honesty, radical transparency, and radical accountability.
Exactly. Let's see. Tina, shout out to you. She says they are wearing down. Let me pull you up to the screen more. They are wearing down the Americans down. They want to fatigue us. The people need to remember they work for us. Is going to show at the polls, and then what? I agree. I agree with you, Tina. I'm rocking with you. It is going to show up at the polls, and they have to understand that they work on the behalf of Americans. But I think so long they have been spoiled with the luxury and the benefits of their position. They have been so committed to just staying in their position, but not actually committed to do the job duty, which is uphold and prioritize the American people. I do believe they're going to see it in the polls, right? In my home state in New Jersey, is happening currently. It's a woman known as Mikey Sherrill, and I'm sure you may have heard of the Republican running for governor, the governor's race in my home state of New Jersey. Jack Celarelli. I am advocating for Jack. I am voting for Jack. That's just my personal choice. Because I feel as though the Democrats have been so used to tugging on the emotional heartstrings of people, but not actually getting no work done, and constantly so caught up in political theater, but there's no results to actually show. It's just more money being spent with no reasonable cause to not even show or even have a plan or policy in place that show the long-term benefits for Americans, right? Because they are supposed to operate on the best interest of Americans and doing best. And I see a lot of anti-American actions that take place from the Democratic Party, and I think people are fed up. So I definitely agree with you, and I appreciate you for watching the show. I appreciate you for taking the time to comment out your day. Truly, I appreciate that love and welcome. You know what I'm saying? Welcome. I appreciate having you. I did see this right here. Emma Murphy said the Democrats are trying to destroy this country. They definitely are at the mercy of propping themselves up for their own self benefit, and you can't have that. When you have to lead, you have to go on the behalf of the people that elected you, believing that you would do what was best in the best interest, not your own personal interest. Now, this was what I wanted to show you guys in this video that I showed you guys, that the school board, before they knew anything that was going on, any information that came out with the investigation with ICE or anything, they were already backing this man and saying, show radical empathy. Now the school board has changed their tune and they're trying to save face and say, oh, they're turning on this man now after they defended him with no evidence coming out yet. Now that the evidence has came out that he faked his degrees, that this man is literally an illegal immigrant, not just undocumented, but literally under federal deportation orders multiple times, and somehow he still became the superintendent of the largest school district in Iowa, making nearly $300,000 a year that a lot of people would work their behind off. He has fake degrees, fake credentials, fake honors, and a whole history of lawsuits and grade manipulation. How? Let me tell you, because this system is not about competence anymore. It's about politics, optics, and unchecked ideology. And this man even was registered to vote in Baltimore, not far from my home state of New Jersey. So how are you a legal immigrant, but you're able to vote in Baltimore, and you're registered to vote in Baltimore, but then you're a superintendent at the largest school district in Iowa? Let's just common sense this out right here, right? It's mind blowing to me. So this man lied on his federal I-9 form. He was never authorized to work in America. He pretended to have degrees from Harvard, Morgan State, MIT. It was all lies. And yet somehow none of that showed up in the background check. And we're going to get to the video in a minute. The school district is trying to save face. I mean, the board of the school district is trying to blame the firm that did the background checks to get this man in, who is illegal and faked all his degrees. Now, this is a school district. This man is around kids, right? And I feel like the kids are the most purest thing. They're the most purest. They're the purest people on earth, right? They only know what they're being taught. They're only their ideologies come from what's being poured into them, right? Because kids are fearless. You know, I have a 5-year-old autistic son, nonverbal. They are fearless. They're so pure. They just smile. They love the simple things. And you have this man around kids who parents trust that the school will actually prioritize their children's safety to be around other peers at their own age, to be able to have an to thrive academically and learn and be able to, you know, continue to sharpen their mind, right? And I feel as though it's not a fluke that somehow none of this showed up with his scandal in the background check, right? Because it's a failure at every level. The HR, hiring committee, school boards, background check firm that they trying to blame, legal teams, all of them. That's what happens when ideology overrides accountability. These people were so focused on checking in, I guess, diversity boxes, this is my opinion, and virtue signaling about radical empathy, which you guys just seen in the first video I showed you about her saying we should have radical empathy, that they forgot to verify reality. They hired a fraud because he fit whatever narrative they thought, whatever. It seemed like the narrative of all the degrees he had that were fake. And that's what happens when systems prioritize the story they want to tell over the truth they're supposed to protect. But check this out.
Former school superintendent Ian Roberts is now formally charged by federal prosecutors in Iowa with one count of being an illegal alien in possession of firearms. It comes after officials discovered conflicting information about his past. Law enforcement found an illegal firearm in his car, and Des Moines police then raided his home.
It's crazy.
Found more illegal weapons. News Nation's Rich McHugh joins us live. Rich, what is the latest on Roberts?
Hi, Nicole. Well, listen, this story gets more bizarre the more we look into it and the more we uncover about this man. He was once revered by the Des Moines community as Dr. Ian Roberts, but now we know he has federal charges against him for being an illegal alien in possession of firearms. And that appears to be just the start. In Department of Justice documents, we're learning more. He was never a U.S. citizen. He filed for permanent residence 4 times, 2001, and 3 times in 2018. Each time he was denied. Since December of 2020, Roberts has not had lawful authorization to work here. In May of 2024, Roberts was ordered removed from the country. When he was found, he had a loaded gun in his car when they stopped him. Inside his home, they found 3 more guns, a pistol, a rifle, a shotgun, along with multiple firearm magazines. And this, as more of his fictitious past comes to light. His official bio in Des Moines, he was named, they say he was named George Washington University's 2013 Washington, D.C. Principal of the Year. But George Washington U tells me the university has no record of awarding such recognition to D.C. principals and did not present this award. For years, he went by doctor. His official bio says he completed programs at Morgan State, but Morgan State tells us no. Ian Roberts did not receive any degree or certificate from Morgan State University. He left his last position at Mill Creek Hightown.
I guess my man took fake it till you make it to the extreme. Even at the jeopardy and the safety of kids. Look, I'm going to hold Ian Roberts accountable with his scandal, and he's an illegal immigrant. See, a lot of people are trying to paint ICE like ICE was the one coming in and ripping people apart, but ICE will not go in if they don't have no verification. And now you don't see CNN, you don't see MSNBC advocate mainstream media basically covering this as much because it doesn't fit the narrative that they want to paint towards ICE. Local law enforcement, they're so against. This man, if ICE never stepped in and was never going through with their operations, he would have been straight. This man would have still been working with his fake degrees, with his fake credentials, everything fake of a fraud he is, still working at this school district, making $300,000 a year that people would kill for that cushy salary. So this isn't about Ian Roberts. I want to take the conversation a bit further. This is about how the American system is collapsing from within. Not because of lack of money or resources, but because people running it are more afraid of being called offensive than being called incompetent. We've earned a phase in this country where if you challenge the status quo, somehow you're a bigot, a racist, a conspiracy theorist. And meanwhile, real fraud, real exploitation, and real damage is happening right under our nose. This man had loaded weapons in his house, in his car, illegally. Right? He was being paid by taxpayer dollars to run schools while under deportation orders. And instead of outrage and instead of accountability, the first thing out the people's mouths was, this must be racism. Nah, this is criminal negligence, political cowardice, and an institutional breakdown. Because what makes it worse is the people defending him weren't just clueless citizens. They were elected officials, talking about radical empathy before the truth even came out. School board members, community leaders, activists. And they weren't just defending him. They were attacking ICE for doing their job. You had people protesting in the streets, crying on camera, saying things like ICE kidnapped him. Excuse me? The man is here illegally, has a documented history of lies and criminal behavior and fake credentials, and you're mad ICE arrested him? It's not a protest. That's mass psychosis. That's what happens when people are trained to be emotionally manipulated by political narratives instead of informed by facts. And this is what you get when the school system teaches whatever narrative they want to fix. Identity politics, whatever narrative they trying to show instead of critical thinking. Let's be really real about this, man. These kids at this school district of Iowa with this man, they are in danger at the hands of the school board and everybody else who let this man in to be a scandal over superintendent. And let's really think about what this means. A man with no legal right to be in this country was able to become the head of a public institution that sets the academic future of thousands of kids. They don't want to talk about that conversation. He got access to children, to budgets, to hiring power, to influence. And no one caught that? No one caught that he was illegal. Or worse, they caught it and they ignored it. And now is exposed. Instead of apologizing, the same board that pushed radical empathy is now suing the background check company to cover their own failures. That's what cowards do. That's not taking our responsibility. They pass the blame, they play victim, they run in the victim Olympics, and that's why systems like this collapse, not because bad people infiltrate, but because good people are too scared to hold them accountable. But sometimes that's the case. And the most dangerous part is this story isn't rare because this is one that got caught. Now the question begs is, how many more like him are out there? How many more people in positions of power, authority, education, healthcare, law are faking their way through because the system is too politically correct to vet anybody to make sure they qualify? How many more Dr. Roberts are getting six-figure salaries while Americans are getting replaced, denied, or priced out of their own institutions? Because that's what's happening. Whether it's through illegal immigration, affirmation action, DEI stuff, or flat out corruption, the system is quietly replacing merit-based hiring with manipulation. And if you say something, you're the problem. That's what it looked like to me. That's my analysis of it. Let me know what you guys think. But here's where it gets even more real. This story shows you that we are not in the nation of laws anymore. It seems like we're in a nation of narratives. If your narrative fits, you can get away with anything. You can commit fraud. You can lie to the public. You can forge documents. You can even illegally possess weapons, and you still have defenders. If your identity fits the narrative, they'll defend you. But if you're a law-abiding citizen who asks the wrong question, you're labeled dangerous, right? That's the new America, it seems like. That's how he looks at it from his standpoint of doing all this and be able to scam his way to be this head superintendent of this big school district in Iowa. So one where legal status gives you protection while citizens give you the burden of silence. Citizenship gives you the burden of silence. So illegals are being protected, but citizens get silence. It's not just on the school board level. This is happening everywhere in corporations and tech and universities and government agencies. And it's dangerous. We are watching the rise of protective incompetence. People getting promoted not because they're qualified, because they can't be criticized. And you better believe that's intentional. At least, I mean, how can you not be intentional about that and ignore all the signs, right? Because when you build a system full of people who are unqualified but untouchable, you create an environment where no one is allowed to challenge the corruption to do the right thing. See, I always ask myself when I go through things, am I doing the right thing? Right? We can have dialogue, we can agreeably disagree or whatever the case may be, but am I doing the right thing? Is this the right way to go about it? And that's how it should be.
Township in Pennsylvania amid several sexual discrimination lawsuits for this job in Iowa. But at the time, the school board in Mill Creek raised questions about his doctorate, according to minutes of their board meetings we obtained. Quote, Dr. Roberts lacked the educational certificate from his educational facilities that he obtained his doctorate. Now, I asked his attorney, where did he get it? You referred to him as Dr. Roberts. Can you tell us which institution he received his doctorate from?
Yes, it was, I know it, the international school, Trident International, right.
Now, Trident International University, that's an online university. Certainly seems that most of his bio, Nicole, is falling apart. He's going to remain in federal custody pending further review.
That's wild. But now, I want to talk about the last segment of the show. Because we have a woman. She tried to ram ICE agents with her car. I don't know why. But this is what we come to. Because in Chicago right now, how what looks like a protest is actually just another layer of dysfunction being sold as justice. You had ICE agents being attacked, boxed in by 10 vehicles, rammed with cars, and you had a woman literally trying to run over federal agencies with a vehicle. And the narrative from the media and local politicians is, why is ICE even there? That's the spin. Not why are people attacking law enforcement, not why did someone weaponize a car. No. The question is, why is immigration enforcement active in a sanctuary city? And that tells you everything. You're not watching peaceful protests. You're watching a deliberate breakdown of law and order sold to the public as some kind of moral crusade, and it's not. It's a mess, and it's dangerous. So, before we get to this video, let's start with this. What kind of city allows violent mobs to surround federal law enforcement, block hospitals, attack agents, and then blames the feds for defending themselves? So you got ICE, Department of Homeland Security, and state police being swarmed by angry crowds, cars ramming into federal vehicles, and now the National Guard has to be deployed just to protect federal agents doing their jobs. And the first thing the governor of Illinois, J.B. Pritzker, does, he complains about Trump's militarization. He says it's un-American to deploy troops. And hold up. What is more un-American? You guys, this is my question to you guys. Federal officers getting attacked and boxed in like they're criminals, or sending the military to stop the lawlessness? I mean, this is common sense here. You guys let me know down in the comments below. See, the play is always the same. Because when law enforcement does its job, it's called oppression. When citizens break the law, it's called protest. And if you're a politician in a blue city, you get to pick which laws are just and which ones doesn't apply today. Well, let's cut through the political theater and call it what it is. Emotional manipulation. Because what they're doing now is using feelings as weapons. They take stories of illegal immigrants, spin them into emotional sob stories, and then tell the public, see, ICE is heartless. Look how they're tearing families apart. Look how they're kidnapping people. And people buy into that. And even when the person being arrested is a repeat offender or has no legal right to be in America, or in some cases, like Ian Roberts, who we just covered, which was the legal superintendent at a big school district overseeing kids, is literally a criminal fraud. So let me be clear. ICE didn't kidnap nobody, anybody. That's called enforcing the law. If someone is not supposed to be in this country, especially if they overstayed their visa, lied on documents, or committed additional crimes, then arresting them is not oppression. It's basic national security. But instead of supporting that, you got cities like Chicago treating it like an invasion, not an invasion of immigrants, but invasion of accountability. Check it out.
And it is a similar scene in Chicago. Violence escalating between protesters and ICE agents here. A woman was shot after she allegedly attempted to hit federal officers with her car. Then in Broadview, Illinois, that's about a half hour west of the city, the Department of Homeland Security is reporting that law enforcement officers were rammed by vehicles and boxed in by 10 cars. That's where we find News Nation's Mills Hayes. Mills, what are you seeing out there today?
Hi, Kelly. Well, there are more protesters that have started to come here to this Broadview ICE facility. We know there's some more activity. Also, where that woman was shot, you mentioned that. Now, we also know that Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker says that President Trump plans to federalize 100 Illinois National Guard troops to help protect ICE personnel and facilities. We expect this crowd here at the Broadview ICE facility to grow throughout the night. Now, meanwhile, DHS is speaking out after a woman was shot by federal law enforcement officers after allegedly trying to ram Border Patrol agents with her car. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem posting on X saying, quote, members of our brave law enforcement were attacked, rammed, and boxed in by 10 vehicles, including an attacker with a semi-automatic weapon, adding that she is deploying more special operations to control the scene. The FBI is investigating, and the woman is in critical condition at the hospital. Protesters responding nearby the incident, angry about ICE activity in the area. One woman saying her son, who is a U.S. citizen, was detained earlier today by immigration officials. All of this happening after Secretary Noem's visit to the Broadview ICE facility, where protests have been intense. She did not take questions from the press. Border Patrol Commander at Large Gregory Bovino leading the arrest outside the facility on Friday. DHS says that 13 quote, rioters were arrested during the standoff, with Illinois State Police joining federal law enforcement officers in trying to keep protesters back. Meanwhile, Operation Midway Blitz enforcement operations continue. This video showing the moments that federal law enforcement deployed tear gas from their SUV in front of a Hispanic grocery store while community activists tried to impede ICE vehicles. A similar situation outside a local hospital where tear gas was deployed while protesters tried to block law enforcement vehicles. Chicago.
So here's the kicker. Where was all this energy when crime was running rampant in the same neighborhoods? Where were the protests when kids were getting shot in the crossfire of gang violence? Where was the outrage when carjackings hit record highs? Where were the tears for families being ripped apart by real crime? Nowhere. Because in those cases, there's no narrative to protect. There's no oppressed group the media can use to guilt trip the country into silence. But when ICE does its job, suddenly everybody's revolutionary. So let me get this straight. The same politicians who said they care about the undocumented are the same ones who done nothing for the poor, the working class, or the actual citizens who live in those communities. So these people rolled out the red carpet for illegal immigrants, illegal migrants, gave them hotel rooms, food, cell phones, job referrals, while veterans sleep outside, schools shut down, city budgets are going bankrupt. In New York and Chicago, they spend hundreds of millions of dollars housing people who aren't even supposed to be here. And the ones paying the price are you, the taxpayer. And now they're acting surprised that ICE is finally pushing back. That's not federal overreach. That's the consequences of decades of bad policy finally catching up with them. And you know what? Some of these mayors, governors, or so-called activists, they want the chaos. That's the sad part. They want it because chaos is cover. If you got the city burning, nobody asking about your failed education plan or your missing budget and your rising crime stats. Everyone's too busy watching the drama. So let me ask you, who's really being served here? The people or the politicians? Because right now, the American people are paying the price in money, in safety, in trust. And this is what happened when ideology trumps logic. When you build a system that rewards feelings over facts, narratives over numbers, and politicians or politics over principle, this is what you get. Streets where law enforcement needs military protection because cities where foreign nationals have more rights than citizens. Protests that aren't even about justice, they're more about emotional theater. And the worst part is, this isn't even about immigration anymore. This is about whether or not America has the right to enforce its own laws. Because if we're now saying ICE can't arrest someone unless they're a violent felon, and even then they might get protested, what's the point of immigration law at all? If we can't deport people who broke the law, fake documents, overstayed visas, or enter without authorization, then what's the point of being a citizen? What's the point of taxes? What's the point of schools or law enforcement? The scary truth is we're watching the erasure of national identity, and the people cheering it on don't realize once the line disappears, so do their rights.
Alderperson Jesse Fuentes was briefly put in handcuffs at that hospital after trying to get more information about an undocumented man who was injured during an arrest. And at the hospital, protesters saying that there is no need for the National Guard.
We're here today because we don't know what else to do. I mean, what's happening in this country is insane. I heard just this morning, first thing, of a father of a student in my children's school district being kidnapped by ICE and taken. I don't know all the details, but this is affecting communities. It's affecting everyone.
And I reached out to Chicago Public Schools. They confirmed to me that there were federal law enforcement immigration officers near an elementary school in Logan Square neighborhood just yesterday. And they continue to say that the safest place for students and staff is still at school, despite that activity around the school there, Kelly.
So this isn't about anexphobia. This isn't about race. It's about survival. It's about order. It's about protecting the foundation of what keeps a country from collapsing. Why do you think I named the thumbnail what it was, family? I literally said in the thumbnail, fake leaders, real chaos. Right? Because right now, that foundation is being chiseled away. One protest, one sanctuary policy, one cowardly politician at a time. So here's what I'll leave you with. If your city can't stop people from ramming federal officers with cars, but it can stop ICE from doing its job, you don't live in a sanctuary, you live in a circus. And if your leadership defends lawbreakers but ignores law-abiding citizens, you don't have leaders, you have handlers. So that's the end of the show right there, family. I just wanted to cover some couple things. I haven't streamed in a minute. I'm thinking about doing this every Sunday. So stay tuned around 11 a.m. Hope you guys got some value from this. Give this video a big thumbs up. And I'll catch you next one. I appreciate all you 6 viewers for watching and rocking with me and coming in for those newcomers. If you haven't seen the whole show, go check it out. Go watch the rewind. Trust me, you'll learn something. Trust me. Welcome to the family, man. Appreciate you. Appreciate you for rocking with me. We talked about a lot. We talked about AI. We talked about how you can make the adjustments with AI coming in, artificial intelligence, and how you can position yourself in the job market. Looking at the unfortunate situation of the government shutdown and how you can adapt and make sure that in the midst, and those who are watching, if they happen to be a part of one of the federal workers of the government shutdown, it doesn't have to be chaos. I gave a solution in regards of adapting yourself and really making sure that you hone in on some AI skills, right? If you can, most importantly, because now, as you heard from Ford CEO, you heard from NVIDIA, you heard from LinkedIn CEO, that they are hiring people with AI skills more than individuals with degrees. It's mind blowing, right? But it's happening. You have to know these skills because these are the times that we're in. You're either going to get with it or you're going to get left behind. And then you realize why you may not be viable in the job market and still can't find your next job. So I talked about that, and I talked about the truth of what's happening with the government shutdown, such as the reconstruction and basically getting rid of the bloat of all this money being spent with extra employees that don't need to be on payroll. If it saves more money to not be a hefty fine on the taxpayers, but also help the government move more efficient without all this extra money being lurked around or lured around or dispersed, but actually saving more money to put more money in other places so we can have a better economy, the cost of living, and the American dream, which was once, can actually be reached again, where people can actually own a house or going and buying a house with their lovely families and being able to survive and get out of that survival phase after surviving, figuring out, making adjustments to thriving. So I hope you guys enjoyed this show. I love you guys. Thank you for rocking with me. Spread that peace, love, and positivity. I'll catch you in the next live stream on that No Family. Peace.